You know, I thought the megapixel race for big cameras was over, but every now and again I'll come across a video online of a photographer who wants more pixels, and it made me think, have the megapixel counts over the last 20 years plateaued? Are they still going up? I'm not quite sure, and I wanted to dig a little bit deeper, so I went and looked at all of the Canon cameras released since their first digital DSLR, and I put all of that data into a spreadsheet and made some graphs, because that's how interesting my weekends get. And after I compiled them, I got a couple of interesting trends. Now you'll see that this is really a trendology exercise. I'm just looking at what the graphs are doing. I'm no tech expert. I've no idea about the technology behind these megapixel counts. Let's look at the general trend from the first digital camera that was released to the most recent. And I'm only looking at Canon cameras here, but I'm sure that these trends are mirrored in all the other camera brands as well. The D30 was released in the year 2000 with a 3 megapixel sensor, and at the other end of the scale is the R5 II, released in 2024. It's 2026 now, and there's been nothing to succeed it. And that had a approximately 45 megapixel sensor. Between those two end member cameras, there's an order of magnitude difference in the resolution of the sensors. And that's kind of mirrored by Canon's middle of the line models of cameras. Those are the double-digit Ds, the 50D, 60D, 80D, 90D, and in the mirrorless world we now have the R7. The trend of those cameras roughly follows that march in progression towards high megapixel counts. This model range had APS-C sensors, so they're a little bit smaller than full-frame sensors. If you wanted to upgrade from this double-digit D series, there was an option for you. There were the 7D cameras, and there were only 2 of those made. The original 7D in 2009 and the 7D Mark II in 2014. Notice that flat line between those two cameras and the 60 and 70D. That one will show up again and again in a couple of other lines of camera. Heading all the way back in time, there was the 1D line of cameras. These were the flagship models, and this was still before full frame was a thing. They had sensors that were bigger than APS-C, but still smaller than full frame. Their resolution counts mirrored that double-digit D line of cameras. The big difference here was that these cameras were bigger, more durable. Those bigger sensors gave them better low light performance, and they had a higher burst rate than those double-digit D cameras. Canon then released some overlapping cameras, and it's a range that continued on to the present day, of the 1DS and 1DX. Early on, the 1DS series was just a higher megapixel version of the 1D series. Then there's a crossover after 2010 where the 1DX series is lower megapixel than most of the other cameras that Canon's making. The people buying this range of cameras, these really expensive cameras, were more bothered about low light performance and higher burst rates than absolute megapixel counts. Let's go back down the range a little bit. Underneath that double-digit D series were the triple-digit Ds, like the 300D and the 400D. And in the US, those were known as the T number I series, like the T2i, T3i, T6i. These are APS-C cameras with fewer bells and whistles than that double-digit D series. I remember I started out with the T3i and absolutely loved that camera. And it was part of a sequence of cameras that all had very similar, if not the same sensor in, between the T2i and the T5i. There's a jump to the T6i, but again, it leveled off even into the mirrorless realm with the R10. In the 15 years since the T2i, they've only jumped from 18 to 24 megapixels. Even if we look at their bottom end range, these are the T3, T5s without the I's in the name. This line is supposed to be the low megapixel option, but by the time we get to the T7 and the R50, it's got the same count as the rest of them. Now we get to the 5D line, everyone's favorite camera, especially for working professionals, wedding photographers, portrait photographers, landscape photographers. Everyone loves this line if you've got the money to spend. If you look at this line in isolation, this is where the megapixel counts have increased over time, starting with the 5D Classic at just under 13 megapixels, all the way up to the R5 Mark II with just under 45 megapixels. In 2015, Canon released the 5DS and the 5DSR, and these were 50 megapixel outliers that kind of stand on their own. And even the modern mirrorless versions in the 5 series don't quite get up to where the 5DS was. One thing this graph doesn't show is the price of the cameras, and the prices have jumped with the megapixels. The R5 and the R5 II now up there in medium format territory. You've got medium format Hasselblads and Fujis at 50 megapixels that aren't much more than these R5s cost. It seems to me that the price to performance proposition for these R5s are not very good. It's fine if you've got the budget for it, but for most people who want the best bang for the buck, probably head a series down, and that's the 6D series. The 6D was released in 2012. The 6D2 is a camera that I used as a backup for a number of years, and I still use it to this day. In fact, I'm recording on it right now. I remember all the YouTubers trashing this camera because it only had one card slot, but this camera holds up even to today's standards. The 6D line are full frame cameras, and look at where they sit on the plot. From the 6D, 6D2, the RP kind of falls into that category, and then the mirrorless ones, the R6, the R6 II, and the R8, all fall along this narrow corridor of megapixels that we've seen in the other series. Now we've got the complete picture. Take a look at this graph and squint your eyes. A lot of you will latch on that the megapixel counts have gone up over time steadily, and I imagine that they will continue to do so as time goes forwards. But something else is happening here as well. In the early phase of digital photography, we had these lower megapixel cameras that all clambered up to the next level of megapixelage. At the top end, we've had these high megapixel cameras, and they've come at a cost. In between those two trends, there's almost a flat line of cameras that are somewhere between 18 and 24 megapixels. If you want to predict the future just from these trends, I think you've got a couple of options. One is that we're overdue a bump for the mid-range cameras, and that's most of the cameras that are being used out there. Or two, maybe the market has matured, plateaued, and we have all the megapixels that we need. We've been saying that for decades, but I didn't realize that the megapixel counts have been the same for decades if you exclude the outliers. I find it really interesting that that flat line is in there, and we've got to a point where most people are happy with the megapixel counts that they have and they don't need any more. And at the same time, there are options, some high megapixel options for those people who feel they need those extra megapixels for their work. And it's quite a nice situation to be in. Let me know in the comments below if you're happy with the megapixel counts that you've got and might not need to upgrade in the future. Or if you're using a high megapixel count, let me know what you're using it for. And as much as I've used Canon as an example of what I think the broader market is doing, let me know if you'd like me to do something more specialized for the camera brand that you use.